Okay, and welcome back, students who are taking Math for Business and Finance and Math Applications. And we are working on the Chapter 22 challenge problem that was assigned in the digital study guide. And that is problem, come on, slide, there we go. That's problem 22-23. Okay, right. So I'm going to go through this all in this one video. I really don't think it should take that long. And I suspect the reason why you're being assigned to do the challenge problem in this chapter versus not having been assigned in previous chapters simply because of the difficulty of statistics. So more practice, the better. Okay. Right. And as I go through this, again, rewatch videos that pertain to these concepts. And if you still don't understand something, feel free to telephone and speak with an instructor. All right. So it says here, the Chicago Sun-Times listed average monthly earnings for various careers requiring a bachelor's degree. And it says, prepare a frequency distribution from the following data. And this is all of the data for the different occupations and how much their average monthly earning is. Right. Now, we're going to prepare a frequency distribution. Okay. And we're going to use these intervals. So I'm not going to bounce back and forth between the two slides like this. All right. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to read right out of the book. Okay. And work it out on the slide here. Because again, I'm doing this as if I'm a student. So, and I don't want to be bouncing back and forth. And then of course, I'll just sort of try to give you the quick shortcut on how I would actually end up doing it. And so what we have to do is, since we're going to be doing a frequency distribution, we need a tally and we need a frequency. Okay, and remember, the tally is nothing more than how many times something appears. Like for example, when you're looking in the book for account, it's giving you the wage of $33.21. Well, that $33.21 falls in between 3,000 and 344.99.91, so I put a tally mark there. When I do the architect at 4103, that falls within the 4,000 to 44.99. Computer programmer 4255 falls in the same area, so I put a second tally mark in that interval. The flight attendant is 3560. Well, that's between 3,500 and 4,000, so I put a tally mark there. 2765 would go between 2,500 and 3,000. Insurance agent of 32 falls right here between the 3,000 and 3,500. Occupational therapist is 4113, so that's just above 4,000. Physician assistant 4427 would be in the same spot because it's greater than 4,000 but less than 4,500. Right, 3,056 would fall here. 4,530 would fall on this last interval, and 2,500 would fall in the first interval. Right? So my frequency for each one, this is 2, this is 3, this is 1, this is 4, and this is 1. Okay. So that's doing the frequency distribution. Now, to be honest with you, when I'm looking at the following intervals, I mean, sure, if I had to present this as data, this is the way I would present it. But when I'm looking at these intervals, notice I'm going from 2,500 to 1 penny shy of 3,000. So I kind of mentally go between 25 and 3,000, 3,000 and 3,500, 35 and 4,000. 4,000 and 4,500, and 45 to 5,000. Okay, and I'm just going to pay attention to where that 1 penny actually falls. But what I would go back and I'd say, okay, I'm going to start out with 2,500. How many times does that happen? Okay, from 25 to 3,000, that's once there, 2 there. So I would have had my tally for that one as a 2, right? I would end up putting my frequency as a 2. Between 3,000 and 3,500, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so then I'd put my 3 there. Between 35 and 4,000. Let's see here, green. All right, so that's 1 there. All right, so I would have had my 1. Between 4,000 and 4,500, I would have had 1, 2, 3, 4. And so that would have given me the 4 there. And between 4,500 and 5,000, I would have had my 1 right there. Okay, and that's how I would have done it myself, to be able to know what the frequencies were. Okay, I mean, the tally is just an intermediary step for you to be able to figure out exactly what the frequency is. Okay, all right, now part B says prepare a bar graph from the frequency distribution. Okay, right, so let's use this slide, and I'm gonna, even though I created another slide, let's just use this one here. So I'm going to create a bar graph, and remember, bar graphs look like colored in bars here, okay, like this. Okay, so, and I'm just going to squiggle this in. Down across the bottom, what I would do is I would put the prices, $29.99, the wages, I'm sorry, so 3,000 to 3,500, 3,500, I'm $34.99, sorry. I would write this out, and of course making it look highly professional, but $34.99, 3,500 to $39.99, and I would keep on listing them. Okay, so let me just, since I'm already halfway there, 4,000 to $44.99, and 4,500 to $49.99. Okay, and of course I'd put in the pennies, right? And then of course this way I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, is the frequency. So here's my frequency. Trying to write sideways here. Frequency. Quency. Okay, so these are my frequencies. So for 2,500, right, to 3,000, I have 2. So my bar would only go up to 2. Okay, for the 3,000, it would go up to 3 because I have 3 frequencies there. Okay, for 3,500, I would have 1 frequency. For 4,000, I would have 4 frequencies. Okay. And for 4,500, again, I would only have a 1. And of course, I would just color all of these in. Right now, yeah, I'm doing this freehand, and as long as I get the point, that's fine. And of course, if I wanted to produce that professionally, I'd probably do this in an Excel spreadsheet or some kind of paint program. Right, so that's how you prepare a bar graph for the frequency distribution. And then it says, for C, it says from the above averages, find the mean and the median. Okay. Okay, so what is the mean? Right, we're back to what is the mean? Well, the mean is adding up all of these figures. Okay, adding up all of these figures, and then dividing by the however number of data points there are. Okay, well, in this case here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and there's 5 there, so there's 11 data points altogether. 5 plus 6 gives me 11. Right, now, when I add up all of those numbers, right, so let me jump down here. Okay, when I add up all of those numbers, all right, I end up with, let's see here. 39,855, and I'm going to divide by 11 because there's 11 data points, and that gives me 3623, right? 3623. And I'm rounding to the nearest whole number, so that's all I need is just the average, the mean is 3623. So again, I took all of these figures, I took all of these numbers, and I added them all up, and I came up with 39,855. And since there's 11 of them, I divided by 11, and that gave me an average when I rounded to the nearest whole number of 3623. Okay, so that is the mean, the average. Okay, now the median is different, right? Right, it says here, find the mean and the median. Well, the median is the middle number, right? So what do I have to do? Right? I have to list out all of the numbers, right? And I'm not going to bounce back and forth to copy the numbers. I'm going to just look in my textbook and pull the numbers down, right? So I'm looking, the smallest number is 2,500. Then I have 2765. I have 3056. 3225. Notice I'm looking for the next higher number all the time. 3321. 3560. So I'm going from lowest to highest. 4103. 4113. And I'm going to actually go on to the next line here because I don't have enough space. So 4255. 4427 and 4530. Okay, so since there's 11 data points, okay, we have to pay attention to whether that's an odd number of data points or an even number of data points. Okay, in this case here, it's an odd number of data points. It's 11. All right, so what I have to do is I have to find the one that's exactly in the middle, right? And in that case, in this case here, it's for 3560. Why? Because I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5 numbers below it, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers above it. Okay, so I'm looking for the middle number when I'm talking about looking for the median. Okay, you're trying to find what's in the middle. Okay, now that's what I do for the odd number if I have an odd data set. Okay, an odd number data set. But let's just say, as an example, let's just say we had an even number of data, right? To find the median for an even number of data, so let me just erase one of them here, okay? And actually I'm going to squinch them in here. Okay, I'm going to get them to fit. So I have 4, 1, 1, 3, 4, 2, 5, 5, and 4, 4, 2, 7. Okay. So with this data set, I have not 11, I have 10. Okay, so it's an even number. So how do I find the even number? Well, if I have 10 data points, I divide it by 2, which gives me 5. Okay, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So that means there's 5 this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 this way. So it has to be somewhere in the middle between these two numbers, right? So I divide the 10 by 2 and I get 5 points, go over 5 points. So it has to be between the 5th one and the 6th one here, okay? And to be able to find what's in the middle, I add the two together, 3321 plus 3560, and I divide that by 2. That's how you find the midpoint. So 3321 plus 3560 is 6881, and I divide that by 2, which gives me 3,440.5, right? That would be my median in this case. It would end up being $3,440.50. Okay, that's how you do. That's how you work with a median when you have an even number. Okay. Right. So with that said, I'm done with the challenge problem. If you have any questions concerning this, feel free to go back and look at the theory videos or the drill problems. Actually, yeah, let me just quickly look back. Mean. Okay, yeah. For the mean, for the median, look at problem number 7. Okay. And for the mode, which is not covered in this challenge problem, that would be number 9, right? But anyway, that's it for this. If go back and watch those videos or rewatch this again, and if you have any other questions, feel free to telephone and speak with an instructor. And I will see you all in the summary practice test problems, which will be the last set of problems for the textbook.